Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Bright Spots. I'm Laurie Labishak, and I will be your host this evening. I hope you're having a great week. I sure am. It has been just an incredible week so far, and I am looking forward to spending this evening with you and with our guest. Mr. Frank O'Brien will be joining us shortly from the Wheeling CVB, and I just cannot wait to hear what Frank has to say and talk about what's happening down in Wheeling. So before we get started with that, I want to share with you a little bit about what happened last night. I hope that you are an America's Got Talent fan. I hope you watched that show because last night there was a young lady by the name of Ashley Marina. Good evening, Beverly Labishak Higgins. Good to have you with us this evening. So last night there was a young lady by the name of Ashley Marina. She's from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and she was on America's Got Talent. So you're wondering, why do I care about a girl from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania? Well, last year I had the honor of judging the Ohio Valley's Got Talent in Steubenville, Ohio at Big Red High School. And Ashley was one of the contestants. She was 11 years old. 11. She's 12 now, a whole big 12. And she sang a Martina McBride song. A big Martina McBride song. Anyway, and those of you that know Martina McBride, you know that her range is amazing for anyone to sing, let alone an 11-year-old. But she blew us away, and she walked away the champion that evening. Well, she got her chance on America's Got Talent last night, and she did not disappoint whatsoever. She absolutely conducted herself like a little pro. I'm telling you what, Simon Cowell stopped her halfway through her song, asked her to sing something else, and still wasn't satisfied with what he got. So they asked her to come back and try something later. So this poor young girl had to sing 3 songs before those judges. But when she finally pulled out one of her original songs about her dad, she blew him away. I cannot wait to see what Ashley does moving forward with America's Got Talent. I know that she is going to do fabulous things and absolutely be wonderful. So if you're not an America's Got Talent watcher, please watch now. And if you are, then I hope you saw her last night, and I hope that you feel the same way I do about Ashley. She is really something else. I think she is going to be someone to watch. So it is Wednesday, and Wednesday means bright spots. And we've invited Frank O'Brien from the Wheeling CVB to join us tonight. Frank O'Brien is the executive director of the Wheeling, Ohio County Convention and Visitors Bureau. With 14 years in the tourism industry, Frank has enjoyed success in several areas of the industry. He began his tenure at the Wheeling, Ohio County CVB in January of 2006. Since joining the CVB, Frank has led the organization in many changes and successes. Lost my place there. In 2010, the CVB rebranded all of its marketing efforts to brand the city and county as Visit Wheeling WV. Frank also spearheaded the organization's purchase and rehabilitation of the historic Capitol Theater in downtown Wheeling, one of my favorite places. The Capitol Theater continues today as an important tourism asset for the region. In 2008, Frank became the only CDME in West Virginia after being graduated from the Destination Marketing Association International's executive program. Now that is a mouthful. How do you fit that on a business card? The Advanced Tourism and Destination Management certification was delivered in conjunction with Purdue University. The focus is on vision, leadership, productivity, and implementation of business strategies, demonstrating the value of a destination team and improving personal performance through effective organizational and industry leadership are the outcomes. Whew! Boy, Frank, that's quite a bio. I can't wait to get you in here on the show. So, ladies and gentlemen, please
Uh-oh, froze up a little bit. That's live TV, right? Or live laptops.
Jemima's origins are based on a racial stereotype. While work has been done over the years to update the brand in a manner intended to be appropriate and respectful, we realize those changes are not enough. The company says they've already started eliminating
Ah, there you are.
There we are. Can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Okay, great. So, Frank, tell us all about what's going on in Wheeling.
Well, I'll tell you what, with this pandemic, it's certainly changed the tourism industry in a huge way. I don't think that there's ever been anything to affect all of our businesses the way this pandemic has required us to shut down businesses for safety. So, as a tourism marketer, our goal is to bring people, as many as we can, to the city of Wheeling and to Ohio County. And we primarily do that through advertising and marketing. But when the pandemic came and people were mandated to stay at home, it doesn't make sense to ask them to come to your community when they can't. So we had to refab and rethink all of our marketing efforts, how we were going to approach it, how we were going to eventually come back, because we do firmly believe that there is another side to all of this, and that there will be a return to a normal that we can all adjust to. But it's been really tough. Just thinking about how we were going to change everything. The first messaging that we sent out was, Wheeling has been through a lot of different challenges in its 250-year history. And when you're ready to come back to visit Wheeling, we'll be here. So that was basically our message. And to some extent, that really still is. The good news is we're starting to see some signs of people wanting to get out, people looking forward to taking a short trip. So hopefully that'll happen soon. Yep.
it's a safe bet there are a number of new books that will not be on President Trump's reading list. He's already sued former national security.
All right, I'm keep talking. Do you get some sound now? I'm actually looking at it backward myself, but let me go back and just, there, I hear you.
Wow. Sorry, I could see you talking, but I couldn't hear a thing you were saying.
Well, that's good, because I probably was just talking to myself repeatedly. But what I had said basically was the pandemic has changed the tourism industry in the most significant way that can be imagined. Our business is to try to attract people to our area and to come and go to the casino or come to the theater. But that's all been tossed out the window. We're not allowed to ask people to come leave their homes. At least that's the way it was for a while. But some of the states are actually loosening up a little bit. They're in different phases, and people are starting to travel. People are starting to get out a little bit. Restaurants now have opened up to some extent. They do limit the percentage of people that are allowed inside. But it's been a tough 2 or 3 months. Unbelievable, actually, from a tourism angle, where we were told not to ask anybody to come to the community. I mean, that's what we do. So one thing I was telling you about before is we changed our messaging. We used all of our social media platforms to basically let people know that Wheeling has had challenges in this 250-year history. We've overcome many of them, and we will overcome this. And when people are ready to come back to Wheeling and visit and feel safe about it, then we'll be here for them. So that's been our messaging during the pandemic, the primary part of it.
So, Frank, you know, a lot of us transitioned to using technology and doing Skype visits. And how has that affected you? Was that something you were used to doing before, or was that all new to you when the pandemic happened?
This is all pretty much new. In the tourism business, face to face is usually the way we communicate in an effective way, especially for the industry part of it. As far as our marketing to tourists and visitors, uh, we didn't really change any of that. But this online meeting stuff, Zoom this, Zoom that, you've heard of that, and your show is called Bright Spots, and this is some great looking software. I appreciate this too. But yeah, I've had meetings with 150 people on these screens, and we actually communicate from all over the place. And primarily, what I've been doing is there are a lot of different industry advocates for hotels, for example, for casinos, for restaurants, and these advocates have been posting online webinars or webinars, whatever they call it. And so we've been sharing those with all of our stakeholders so that everybody knows as much information about the COVID-19 as possible, because the only thing, if there's a silver lining, every single business was impacted in a negative way, and I don't think that's a silver lining, but there's no unfair competition out there. Every destination is in the same situation we are, and everybody is starting over again. And but you've got some new technology. I wouldn't be surprised to see more people working from home, more of this online of interaction and communication. But I'm hopeful that people will still need to get in their car, come to Wheeling, experience a show at the theater, experience a waterfront heritage port show, come to a movie on a Friday or a Saturday, and at the Highlands, play sports again. So that's where I'm hoping that we can get back to.
So, I noticed on your website, and we're going to share your website here in a minute, but I noticed that there are, you know, every summer we look forward to Toe Tapping Tuesdays and Waterfront Wednesdays and the concerts at Ogilvy. And it looks like everything has been canceled until August,
Right, right.
when those shows will resume. Do you think there's a chance they will resume those sooner? And is the Visitors Bureau and the city, are they prepared to do that sooner, or is it definitely not going to happen until August?
There's a lot of Ogilvy seems to be a little bit ahead of the curve, and I applaud them for stepping out and trying to recreate some events. The swimming pool, of course, has been opened. They're doing the safety guidelines and testing people for their temperature before they go in. But they've also talked about they've already had a fireworks display up there, and they're going to do probably some more of that. And when you get a chance on Facebook, there's a link that you can tie in happenings at Ogilvy, and they usually do whatever's going on the weekend, and it's an on-camera narration, and I think you could really appreciate that. That's Ogilvy on Facebook does a nice job. But as far as the city starting its waterfront Wednesdays and movies on Friday, that's pretty much not going to happen until August. I do see that there may have been a movie. They're going to bring those movies back to Wheeling Park, where it's like a drive-in movie, and you stay in
Oh,
your
cool.
car and you watch those big screens. So that's something that will be obviously pretty popular. But as we said, I mean, 2 months ago, we weren't talking about any of this. 2 months ago, we were wondering if we would even survive, because this is such a negative impact on our industry, because our revenue comes from hotels. And if people are not staying in a hotel, or if the hotel's been mandated to close, our revenue stream has been decimated because of that.
Right.
So we obviously need to work together and fill those hotels again. Um, but it's going to take some time. People are pretty reluctant to get out, and especially it's a kind of a demographic thing. Millennials are they're ready to go out and spend some money, and they're tired of staying at home. But the baby boomers, some of them are still a little nervous, and people older than that, they have right to be, because this virus seems to go after elderly people in a big way. So, for example, my mom, she's 84. She doesn't want to go anywhere at this point, and she's not sure when she will. But that's pretty much out there in the whole country. Actually, the whole world, people are a little nervous about it.
Right, right. And as we've begun to slowly open, some states are seeing a spike in cases again. And, I noticed today in the news, both Arkansas and Tennessee are seeing spikes. Nevada, Las Vegas saw its biggest spike since the pandemic happened from Monday into Tuesday. And I have a son that lives in Las Vegas, so I keep a close watch on what's going on out there. So in West Virginia, cases have been relatively low. And I think a lot of that is because the West Virginia governor was so proactive in putting out there the social distancing and stay-at-home order. And the same here in Ohio. I believe that Governor DeWine also did a good job of, although we had more cases than West Virginia, I do think we did a good job of getting the curve, going this direction, flattening the curve. Thank you. I've used that verbiage so much you'd think I'd remember it, but and we've all gotten tired of the language that we hear people say. These are unprecedented times. Well, yeah, they are. And Frank, I've known you a lot of years. We worked together back in the 90s at WTRF. That was a long time ago, wasn't it?
Weren't we the voices for a couple of puppets?
Yeah. We were the voices for a couple of puppets. That's right, with the Krasagas brothers.
Good News.
Yeah, I think you were I Be Cool, as I recall. I was. Yes, and I was Polly Darton. So.
That's right. And we actually did a duet. We got to do a duet.
Yeah, that's right.
It's fun. It's fun.
And for some of the folks who may not know, Frank was an anchor on WTRF. And Frank is also a very accomplished bassist. He plays the bass guitar. He filled in my band a couple of times. And
that's fun.
Yeah, we had a couple of interesting gigs together, didn't we?
We were on the back of a tractor trailer, flatbed.
That's the one that comes to mind. I think we were afraid we weren't going to get out of there. That was an interesting event. So, we all know that a lot of things have changed over the last 3 months. As we move forward, what do you think is going to be the biggest challenge, other than the revenue source trying to come back, Frank? What do you think is going to be the biggest challenge for tourism in West Virginia and in Wheeling in particular?
Safety is going to be the major concern. Safety for the employees, safety for the visitors. So people are really going to know, what are you doing to make sure that you're safe, and I'm going to be safe if I come to your attraction, to your restaurant, to your town. I think that's going to be key. And so if we all follow the rules, follow the directions, and broadcast those rules and let people know that we are doing those things, I think that will lead to some success. The other concern that I have is pretty big, and West Banco Arena, for example, you can get about 6,000 or 7,000 people in there. But if you have to, by law, space them 6 feet apart, there's a strong possibility that you're only going to get a third of the audience in there. That's not going to be enough paid patrons to justify the acts that are coming in. Hockey games could be, and if you can't have people show up and buy tickets, that's the revenue stream for the Nailers, for example. They don't have national TV broadcast payments. The Capitol Theater, I'm really concerned about that venue because at this point it's dark. There's nobody there. The people that normally work there are from the arena, but they've all been furloughed, Lori. Everybody's on furlough with no return date yet. There's one employee left, and that's Denny Magruder, and he's he's running the place pretty much by himself. He has some help, but there's nobody there, and there's nobody to run the theater. And because of the 6 foot, people aren't going to want to sit bunched together. You know the seats at the theater. We have about 2,500 seats. They're really close, and
Right.
yeah, and I don't see how you could do a theater show with limited seating like that and still have enough tickets be sold to cover the cost of the production. So it's kind of a mystery right now how this is all going to pan out. But if they can come up with some kind of a cure for this, vaccine or something, that's how long I think it might take before people feel comfortable about grouping up again. I mean, I've been to football games, I've been to theater events. You know, I've been there with 5 or 6 thousand people. The Italian festival, they canceled that because 100,000 people walked the streets, Water Street, and I mean, humans have a tendency to want to be huggers and close, and
Right.
yeah, and I'm not sure how we figure that out. I mean, you're not even allowed to shake hands anymore. They're saying be careful with that, and um, so we're gonna have to change a lot of our behavior. And I'm not so sure I like the changes that we're going to be forced to do on some things, but I think as long as we can let people know that a visit to Wheeling is safe and enjoyable, then I think that would be one of the keys. I'm still thinking about what we're going to do with the theaters, and in fact, the governor has not even come up with some guidelines for us on how to open the theater and how to have bands playing again. So as soon as we know about that, then we'll step forward and do all those things.
I read somewhere or I heard someone speak about musicians
Yes.
and specifically singers, and being musicians ourselves. I was very curious as to what is the risk to the audience to come and listen to a performer. And they were saying with singers in particular, when you're singing, the particles from your breath and the vocal can go up to 27 feet.
I know.
And that's wild to think about that. And even in church, we've been told if we're going to sing in church to wear a mask because, to protect the people around you.
Right.
As a singer, that's really tough. That's hard. But there's a lot that you have to think about as a musician, even. We're scheduled to do a gospel show in Steubenville at the end of July 21st. And so that means shared microphones.
Yes.
3 months ago, I wouldn't have thought twice about that.
Right.
But now I think it's made us all think so very differently about the things that we've always done.
Yes.
The hugging, the shaking hands.
Using everybody using the same microphone. Radio stations are using the same windscreens on their microphones. TV studios, the same thing. Everything has changed, and this remote access, I think, may be a permanent thing to some extent in some industry. I wouldn't be surprised to see offices some disappear. Effectively, because they can still do good work from their home. But back to tourism again, I think the reason West Virginia seems to be doing a little bit better as far as the stats and the numbers is that there are parts that are more rural, and people that are actually trying to get out now, they want to go with their family maybe to the mountains or maybe where they are not going to deal with critical mass of people. And I think that West Virginia will have an advantage there when people from like DC or something want to leave. That high concentration of people in DC would want to go west into West Virginia for some time away from people. So because we don't have those big urban areas, I think we're going to be poised to see an influx of new business. In fact, I think a lot of local people are actually, doing short 2-day trips to local hotels. Ogilvy has been, people have been going up there and getting some day passes and spending the night there. So I think that's wonderful. I have several board members that are all representatives of the tourism industry, including the CEO of Ogilvy and the Chamber of Commerce president, which is Erica Storch. We have managers from hoteliers who have all kept an eye on how this is all going to play, and they've been very creative in their efforts to make sure that their potential customers see and visualize and know everything that they're doing to make it safe. All the public spaces that are getting cleaned, and that's the message I think that needs to go out initially. And I applaud the area hoteliers for doing that. And it's going to come back to some extent. I mean, with the industry, some of the industries being shut down, that eliminated a lot of the business travel. And Wheeling is a strong area for business travelers staying in hotels. It's a large portion of the business. And so when these businesses reopen, then we expect to see at least that segment of the industry come back. And then I think there's going to be more family-oriented regional trips. I'm sure people aren't necessarily going to fly someplace for a while. So I think we're poised to do better. I mean, we market right now primarily in Pittsburgh, between here in Cleveland and here in Columbus, and then in the Morgantown area. That's our primary focus. That's where we spend all of our money advertising. So I think that those are all drive times, and we think that we can do better there with that, again, because people want to get out.
Right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you are watching Bright Spots. We thank you so much for tuning in. Frank O'Brien of the Wheeling Convention and Visitors Bureau is our guest. We're going to take one quick break and show you what's coming up next for the next few weeks on Bright Spots. So sit back and relax. We'll be right back. And we're back. All right. Well, we've got some great shows coming up. So we invite you to come back every Wednesday at 7 o'clock. And tonight, of course, we are talking with Frank O'Brien. And Frank, if folks want to know what's going on in Wheeling, is the Visit Wheeling website the best place to go?
Yes, it is. And certainly we have social media platforms as well, Twitter and Instagram and all of those platforms. But I think that our website is the most effective. And you can get there. It's www.visitwheelingwv.com. So wheelingwv.com will get you there. And there's all kinds of great calendar of events. And as you can see, and we also have that message up on top. When you're ready to do it, to come back, you can look at the safety provisions. This app that's up there, that's pretty cool too. This is for your mobile phone, and you go to the App Store, which is Visit Wheeling or Wheeling Visitor, and they'll give you the free app. I think underneath that you can close that screen there where it says no thanks.
There you go.
Yeah, so you can close that window, and that app is really kind of cool. And get back. The website is really good. As you can see, we categorize things to do, the calendar of events. We constantly monitor that. So this is a good website, especially if you're not familiar with the Wheeling area. I was worried about my dog. I hear yours.
Yeah. Every once in a while, she's got to put her 2 cents worth in. So folks, the website is scrolling at the bottom of the screen. So wheelingcvb.com, and let's see. So we also have, yeah, wheelingcvb.com. That's the correct website. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, you can
Cool.
get both of those.
Okay. And you can find out what's happening. There's an events tab that'll show you a calendar. I'll see if I can get us to that. And you can see all of the things that are coming up. Because there are some things scheduled. As Frank said, Ogilvy is doing a great job of keeping things going up there at the park. And come August, there are some events at the waterfront. Toe Tapping Tuesdays and Waterfront Wednesdays should start back up again in August. And did I go to the right place? I think I did. But if you come here to the events page, there's a calendar that is searchable. And this is a great feature because you can put in your dates of when you're planning on coming to Wheeling or when you want to go to Wheeling, and it will bring up the events. You can also search by category if you're looking for music or you're looking for golf or whatever it is that you're looking for. You can search that here as well. So yes, kudos to your web designer. It is very easy to maneuver and a really good site too. Lots of good information on there. So, all
Appreciate
right.
that.
So,
Appreciate it. And might as well give them props. Beyond Marketing, based in Wheeling, put that website together, and they work with us closely to make sure that it's up to snuff. But remember,
yeah,
I talked a little bit about
kudos.
Ogilvy. There's a but go on Facebook when you get a chance, and it's called. They're actually going to do an Independence Day celebration up at Ogilvy, but it's going to be on Thursday, July the 2nd, 7 to 9. Sunday Fun Day has already started again, or will be in July rather, the 5th, and then the 12th of July, and that's where the whole park comes alive, and they practice all of those things. So what's up at Ogilvy is the search. They put that in Facebook, and you should be able to see what's going on.
So it's What's Ogilvy?
What's up? Let me see. I'm
What's
trying.
up, Ogilvy?
Yeah, what's up at Ogilvy?
Okay. Because I have
Well,
there, let's see if I can get that. I can share that as well.
What's happening? I think is at Ogilvy. Let's see. Sorry about not having that right on the tip of my tongue, but
Oh no, that's okay. I have their Facebook page up. Let's see if we can share that. And
here's what's up at Ogilvy. So what's up at Ogilvy should get you there. Here's what's up at Ogilvy.
all right.
Find it?
So what's up at Ogilvy? So this is Ogilvy's page. We'll go ahead and search what's up.
What's up at Ogilvy? And these are really well done videos that take you around to different locations on the park, and it's really a good way. There we go. I think you're getting there. See here? It's done by Wheelhouse Marketing. They do a real nice job.
Oh yeah, okay. With Lindsay. I know Lindsay.
Yeah, some good stuff.
Good gal. Yeah.
But they keep it really current, especially with the schedule being so different now because of this pandemic. You need to have first-hand updates, and I don't think that there's a better way to do it than through your mobile phone or through Facebook. This is all real-time stuff anymore, and actually it's an advantage now, especially with the way things are going, to see what's happening in your community.
That is fabulous. Just fabulous.
So obviously a lot more of this kind of marketing and information spreading around is going to happen online. And even before the pandemic, we were finding that online advertising was very effective, even more effective than traditional advertising ways like a magazine or a newspaper per se. So whenever we buy any advertising, whether it's on TV, radio, or newspapers, we always want to know if they have an online component of that particular of that item. So like the Intel, you could read that online. So if
Right.
you buy an ad in the paper, does it show up online as well? And same thing with the TV stations and radio stations. And online, really the coolest thing about online marketing is your ability to track uh, if people were seeing it and if
Right.
people were responding to it. Um, and then you can figure out what the return on the investment is. And that's key because, if you have millions and millions of dollars to advertise and it's not getting to anybody that will come to Wheeling, then you're wasting your time and effort. And since we don't have money like that, we have to make sure that we put it in the right market and get the best return.
Right. Right.
And we'll get back to that soon, hopefully.
Yeah. Also, you want to look at the demographic that you're looking at, and I would imagine that, I know tourism, you're looking at a lot of different people, but depending on what you're advertising, there's always an age group that you're trying to hit, or
Right.
an income level that you might be looking at as well. So yeah, I totally agree with you. Online marketing has certainly taken marketing to the next level. And having those analytics, back in the day when we ran commercials, it was a guessing game of how many people actually saw it, or, you knew that that so many viewers watched because Nielsen told us that so many viewers watched, but were they really watching, or were they getting up and going to the kitchen to get something to eat when the commercials came on?
And it's the same thing if you buy a billboard on the highway. There may be 100,000 cars that drive by, does that mean that 400,000 people look, or with those many eyes rather, looked at
Right.
that sign? So it's hard to track that kind of stuff.
It is.
Yeah, the analytics you get from online those are fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, who clicked and how many clicks you got and how many people actually looked at what you put out there, which is yeah, that's good stuff. That's
But
good
today,
stuff.
there's people though that don't have access or don't really want to get involved with that, and
Sure.
so you still have to do some traditional advertising, and like during the Festival of Lights, we put a lot of effort in television ads in the Pittsburgh market because that's where they come. They've made it a tradition, and we look forward to getting back into all of the good things about tourism and we've got some great things here in Wheeling, whether it's culture and history and the architecture of walking down Main or Chaplin and Wheeling. Just look at some of those historical buildings. Wheeling has more Victorian and Elizabethan and all these different types of eras of housing than any place around. So Wheeling has some good things for everybody to visit and see.
So, Frank, we have watchers from all over North Carolina, Texas, Arizona. We also have watchers from Iowa. So, for folks that have never been to Wheeling, and outside of the pandemic, let's say there's not a pandemic, what do you believe is the best time of the year to come and see Wheeling, and what are the must-see, must-do things when you're in Wheeling?
You know what? Because of the Festival of Lights and it being created some 30 some years ago, we are a four-season destination. I love the springtime when the flowers are blooming, and a trip to Ogilvy by the mansion to see all of the different flowers blooming in spring is not to be missed. And then as you progress into the summer, waterfront events that take place are incredible. We have everything from a jazz and festival and a brew festival all the way to a blues festival that is now actually internationally known. And we've had visitors from Japan and Brazil at the blues festival. So when we get back to being reasonably normal again, keep an eye on all of those events because they will be coming back. The other thing that I think that people are not thinking about is the historical significance of Wheeling. Wheeling is the original gateway to the West. Hundreds of thousands of people that went west to the Ohio Territory, as it's called, on the other side of the river, came through Wheeling, West Virginia to get there. So America pretty much was settled because people went west, especially on the Route 40 National Road at the time. The historical architecture of the suspension bridge, I know that is very attractive to architects and engineers and is actually even talked about in some of the curriculum. And if you are a Civil War buff, the fact that the Independence Hall, where the state of West Virginia was created, uh, that's all visible, and you can tour back the way it used to be. They've done everything they can to make it authentic, and I think that that's a driver. The other driver is the casino. We have a first class, all the amenity casino, hotel, and racing track. People come from far and wide to go there. It's a great experience, and those are the draws. And that's I don't think you want to miss all of those things. And even the trip to the penitentiary in Moundsville is kind of cool. And the Palace of Gold, which is a Krishna compound. It's a beautiful, beautiful place to go. So we're regional in nature, and we understand that people don't really concern themselves with borders or limits of this or that. They're more interested in what the experience can be, and so we try to combine the whole area as one destination. And the Upper Ohio Valley can attract all kinds of different people, and just come and see us. You'll enjoy it.
Well, folks, you are watching Bright Spots, and our guest this evening is Frank O'Brien of the Wheeling CVB. And it has been such a pleasure to have you, Frank.
Thank you.
And so, of all the things that have been canceled, now we know that, June and July, June especially, is pretty much done. We're not going to have any events in June, and July is still a little questionable. A lot of folks have messaged me and asked me, will there be fireworks on the 4th of July?
Well,
That's
I think that Ogilvy is planning to do something in that range, perhaps July 2nd. I do know that the waterfront symphony fireworks, the tradition that we have there in Wheeling, that's going to be pushed back, we think, maybe to Labor Day. So you might be able to hear the symphony on Labor Day weekend and see some fireworks. So July 4th will be pushed back, to obviously to a later date, but we still think you would have the same experience. Fort Henry Days, which is a big event up at Ogilvy, is also Labor Day weekend. So it looks as though that Labor Day weekend may be our return to events that are going on throughout the area, and hopefully the pandemic and all the safety parameters will be relaxed to some extent, and we'll be able to go there.
so it looks like you have a fan
Best boss ever.
saying that you're the best boss ever.
Yes, Olivia. Olivia is the marketing manager at the Convention and Visitors Bureau. So she's the one pretty much responsible for all the online stuff that we've been doing. And any ad you see, TV ads, she does those too. So she's the best marketing director ever. So how we do
There you go.
Yeah.
And also Sonia Fedorko from over at the
The
arena also chimed in there. Frank O'Brien from the CVB. FLD from the CVB. Sonia, good to see you and Olivia, and I see Donna Mason Wade down in North Carolina tuned in also. So good to have you guys. Thank you. If you are tuning in, please leave us a message. Let us know that you're here, where you're tuning in from, and if this is your first time watching Bright Spots. We have shows every Wednesday at 7 o'clock right here, so be sure and come back and join us again. So Frank, is there anything else that you would like our watchers to know before we close out the show today?
Well, yeah, let me think. I worked in TV for a while. That was fun. I was a musician before that, played in a couple of rock bands. The closest I ever got to really making it was I played in the church basement across the street from the Civic Arena in Pittsburgh back in the late 70s. But other than that, I didn't quit my day job. But working as a Convention and Visitors Bureau director is the best job that I've ever had, and working with good people and telling people about a great destination in Wheeling is a lot more fun than anything that I've ever done. And so I'm very appreciative of being able to do that. And then back when you were reading the bio, you talked about that Destination Marketing Association International. It's CDME. That's how you shorten it. And that means Certified Destination Management Executive. So those are good skill sets to have. I wanted to make sure that my board of directors had confidence in my skills. So I went to those training programs and feel comfortable. But we didn't get to talk about a couple of things. The Capitol Theater, we hope that it'll reopen soon. We don't have a date yet. Same thing with the arena, no dates on that. But there are still some programs that are scheduled late. We may have a wedding, I think, at the Capitol Theater in July. And I know that there's a couple of shows that have been pushed back to August. So keep posted. Check out the Capitol Theater, West Banco Arena Facebook pages. You can certainly check online, capitoltheaterwheeling.com. And keep an eye on what we're doing on our events page. And we're going to get through all of this. There's going to be a positive light at the end of this. And we just need to hang in there. And we'll get through this. And my recommendation is stay safe out there and take it serious. And then when we're past all of that, come by the thousands and join us again.
So, folks, you heard it from Frank O'Brien himself that we're going to get through this, and we are going to be back at the waterfront listening to live music before you know. And also back in our theaters and at the Civic Arena. I know that I was really looking forward to the Rough Riders schedule spring, and I know that they were very disappointed to have to cancel, and hopefully they will be back next year, do you think? So that's a really fun thing that Wheeling has, is that indoor arena football. We didn't talk about that. And also the hockey team, of course. Hockey's been a tradition in Wheeling now for, I don't know, 25 years?
Yeah. We have the longest franchise in the whole league. And these are all things that we've kind of taken for granted. And now I think people realize how important they were. And once you lose something, I guess you really appreciate, you need to appreciate when you have something that fun.
Yeah, if you think back, even just 6 months ago, you often hear people say there's nothing to do in the Ohio Valley. There's nothing to do. And truly, we have a very vibrant social community in Wheeling, in St. Clairsville, in Steubenville, all up and down the Ohio Valley, up to Pittsburgh. There's a lot to do in the Ohio Valley. And I think now, as the weather's getting warmer, we realize just how much there is to do, because now there truly is nothing until we get permission to reopen some of these things.
So, as long as we can safely get back to meeting in groups again, I think that things will get better and they'll return to normal. And we're starting to see signs of that. And like we talked about earlier, millennials are getting out there, and it depends on what you see on TV. Sometimes they're doing it in excess, but hopefully everything will work out.
Well, I heard that swimming pools, above ground pools, you can't get them right now. They're out of stock.
Sure.
Because I think everyone was afraid, and rightfully so, that public pools wouldn't open. So people went ahead and put in, and now you can't get them.
Right.
And several other things. I know my husband and I went to buy a freezer, and freezers were, you couldn't get a freezer in the Ohio Valley, because people had bought freezers to stock up on, meats and other sort of thing at the beginning of the pandemic.
Well, for the first time in 4 months, let me see where this is. I found one of these.
Oh.
I have not found any of these ever. but we were able to get one bottle today. So, yeah, things that you take for granted,
Yeah.
and when they're not there, you really miss them.
You
At least we're
surely
not worried about toilet paper anymore for a while.
No, I think we're okay on that front.
Yeah,
Well, Frank, we'd love to keep in touch and maybe have you back on,
sure.
August or September when things are back up and running and find out just where we are and what wonderful things are coming. Thank you for doing such a great job of bringing wonderful programs to Wheeling. I remember when you started at the Visitors Bureau, so I have watched it grow and watched it really blossom into a wonderful, vibrant program. So thank you for doing that for our community.
It was a team effort. Thank you for everything, and this has been fun.
Yeah.
Call me again. We
Thank you
can
for
do this.
being a bright spot. I do appreciate that.
Thank you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into another edition of Bright Spots. That concludes our show this evening, but I will be back next week with another edition. Wendy Anderson from the St. Clairsville Chamber of Commerce will be my guest next week. So I invite you to join me then. And remember, every Wednesday, 7 o'clock, Bright Spot happens right here. Good night, everyone.